Most of you, my viewers, are self-taught artists, and that is absolutely amazing. But it does come with a slight problem. It can be extremely difficult to try to teach yourself art, but you don't know what to do next. You don't know what you need to improve. You don't know where your weak points are, where your strong points are. And sometimes you can just feel stuck, frustrated, and annoyed with yourself. You want to make this beautiful art piece, but you don't know how to get there. And that is exactly what this course is about. I want to give you the basics. I want to make sure that you have all of the skills that you need to take your art to the next level. If you are willing to put the work in, this portrait course will change your art forever. So for this course, I made you some resources. The links are below. There's a workbook that will have all of the lessons in it, and some of the lessons will have worksheets that you can print out and work on. For this first lesson, you'll need some watercolor paper or just white cardboard, whatever you have. You'll also need some type of ink. I'm using acrylic ink, but you can use a different ink. If you don't have ink, you can also use watercolor or acrylic paint or gouache. Just one dark color is enough. And then you'll need a pencil and an eraser to sketch everything out, and you'll also need some paint brushes. I'm using 3 brushes, a small round one for details, and then a round one that's slightly bigger for starting to fill the color in, and then a bigger square one that is just for blocking colors in. We'll divide your paper up into rectangles that have a width of 2 and a height of 3. That's the ratio I want you to aim for. My rectangles are 10 centimeters by 15 centimeters, but you can choose any size you want as long as you can make 20 of them. I don't recommend that you go too big because then it might take a little bit longer to do this exercise, and neither do I recommend that you go too small because then it might get a little bit frustrating for you to paint all of the details in. Now, this first lesson is just an exercise in drawing exactly what you see in front of you. And I want you to focus on the organic shapes and on the curves of the lines. And I want you to try to do it as true to the picture as possible. I made these pictures very abstract because your mind can be pretty deceptive when it comes to faces. It always wants to interpret what you see, and it always kind of puts its own twist on it, so that what you come out with is not really exactly what you're seeing to start with. Alright, let's jump into sketching them out. I do recommend that you try sketching them out before you color them in. The first few images are very easy, and then they'll get harder from there. I often try to divide the paper into halves or into quarters in my mind to get an idea of where on the paper the object should be. If you're struggling to do this in your mind, you can do it physically to just see in which segments the shapes lie. When drawing, it also helps to have a bigger context in which to put your shapes. So what I'll do is I'll draw in the broad shapes and then add the tiny curves and squiggles in later. And then it's just a matter of sketching out each individual picture. And this exercise will probably test you a little bit. It tested me when I did it. And if you start feeling frustrated or demotivated, or if the task just feels so tedious, I want you to take a deep breath, maybe put some music or podcast or audiobook on, breathe in, out, try to enjoy the moment as it is happening. It doesn't have to be all in one day. You can try to do 1 a day or 2 a day. In fact, if you can do it all in 1 day, I'll be really proud of you because I couldn't even do all of them in 1 day. It was just so much. When you're sketching out the smaller shapes, it helps to classify them in your mind a little bit. And I don't mean to classify them rigid, like this is a circle, or this is a triangle, or this is a square. It's trying to find shapes that you know and relate them back to the squiggles that you see on the reference image. For example, this part to me looks a little bit like a helmet, and on top of it a flagpole with 2 flags. The bottom flag looks a bit like a shadow puppet, and the top flag like a rhinoceros beetle. And when going back to the bottom of the shape, it almost looks like a lion's backside. And on top of trying to classify shapes in my mind, I always try to keep shapes in relation to one another and to see the relationship between shapes and lines and objects. I actually made a video where I'm walking through this process using one of the pictures in the workbook if you want to watch it after watching this video. And now, after sketching, it's time for the fun part, playing with the ink. I already told you that I'm using 3 brushes, and let me show you how I use them. Outlining with the small round brush helps me to perfect my hand in drawing organic shapes. When I'm doing this, I keep referring back to the reference image so that I can see where I am and if I made any mistakes. And it was really interesting for me when coming back to the pictures that I drew first, because I sketched out everything and then I inked everything. So when I came back to the pictures that I drew first, I already saw some mistakes that I did. And it was just so interesting for me because in that time of sketching 20 abstract little paintings, I already developed a skill and I could come back and fix my mistakes. And I really hope that you have the same experience, but we don't all learn at the same pace. So if you still feel a little bit lost when coming back to the first ones, it's okay, it's the first lesson. After outlining, I fill in the shapes to create these beautiful, abstract, solid shapes. And I just want to know, am I the only person that finds this really satisfying? When you're done with your 20 paintings, don't throw them away yet. We're going to be using them in the next lesson, which will appear here when it is published. If you want something to do in between though, you can really benefit by watching this video right here, which will show you my step-by-step process for keeping proportions in my paintings good.